You're listening to the Becoming More Me podcast with me, Teresa Lear Levine. You're already enough. But if you're anything like me, you thrive when you're stretching and developing yourself, creating more of the person you feel called to be. This podcast is here to inspire and support you. Let's release the negative, reinforce the positive, and elevate our vibe together as we tap into our limitless potential to transform and grow. Hey. Oh my gosh. I am coming to you today in superhuman form. And I don't mean like superpowers, superhuman. I mean like imperfect, very human form. So for those of you who watch the video, I pray you're not watching the video. I have a double eye infection. So I'm wearing my glasses. I'm still not better. So I'm still sick. And that honestly is so hard for me to say because part of my own recovering perfectionism is that I'm always super healthy. And to be sick like pains me in ways other than what being sick is doing to me. So it's another opportunity to get conscious, to know myself better, to become more of who I want to be, and to realize that we all get sick sometimes. And it's also a beautiful way to align with something that's been really important for me this year, which is being more and doing less. I think that when I was really immersed in my type A personality, to-do list, check it off, get it done. Ooh, I didn't put it on the list, but I did it. Ooh, let me write it down and then check it off because I got it done. Kind of a way of being. I looked at time much differently. I looked at worthiness much differently. I looked at how hard I felt I needed to work in order to make things happen in my life the way that I want them to, much differently. And when I started to shift to a place of life can be even more joyous, more abundant, more amazing in every way without me putting this struggle, hustle, grind vibe out there. What a huge difference that made. And so being sick, I find myself, looking at time differently. I've been sick on and off for the last few weeks. So my days have not been nearly as productive. I have been blessed with some beautiful days like today where, once I got the kids out for school, it's just been open. And finding myself going, oh, I'm sick, so I can rest, and that's great. And then the other part of me feeling like, oh, if you were feeling well, this would be a really productive day. You'd be getting a lot done. And having to shut down that old voice inside of me that would love to tell me what a waste of time it is that you're sick. And instead, being able to align with where I am right now, which is the only place I can be, and choose vibrations that help me to feel better. So to be clear, I'm not suffering in any major way, but it's inconvenient. A double eye infection is painful. It's uncomfortable more than anything. And I love wearing my contact lenses versus my glasses. And I look horrible. My eyes were just like swollen and I'm headachy and I just, bleh. But I don't enjoy focusing on those kinds of things. So I know that this kind of a being sick is trying to tell me something because things like headaches or vision issues or what have you really require you to shut out certain stimulus. And That's very much a way that your nervous system is trying to mitigate threats, trying to regulate, and trying to help you. So I'll talk more about that, I suppose, in a minute. But just looking at time differently. And instead of looking at a calendar and thinking, okay, well, in January, I'm going to do this. And in February, it's this. And in March, this. And then as I head into Q2, it's going to be this and that. And, maybe you get it done and maybe you don't. And if you don't, maybe you're beating yourself up about it and it's feeling horrible. And it becomes this upstream thing instead of this aligned thing that flows. And I have gotten so much more done this year by releasing a lot of the pressured to-dos. I still have a to-do list, yes, but the vibe around it is so much different than it used to be. Sometimes I only really consult with it to see what's on my schedule that I need to show up for. And sometimes I consult on it because of the little nitty-gritty things that are there that maybe I'm like, did I do that? Did I not do that? I need to check and see. Sometimes it could be like a few days. And I've talked about this before. I have a digital calendar, but I also like to keep a paper version of my calendar that I just write out each week. Every day has its own sheet of paper, and it's not bound or in a book or anything. It's just each day has its own printout. There's certain things that I have pre-printed. I update my printables 4 to 6 times a year, depending on if there's new things that are regularly on there, so that I don't have to waste time writing stuff out or adding things to my list that just happen all the time anyway. And so I write things down. It helps me with my ADHD to write down what is on my digital calendar. It helps me to remember it and just to kind of make it real and to also look at like the blocks of time. If I have an appointment that I need to be at that's half an hour from home, I like to look at, okay, so the appointment's from 1 to 2. I'm going to be driving now from 12:30 to 1. I need to be getting ready between 12 and 12:30. And just to be able to actualize that time for myself, because time is an illusion, but also with ADHD, time is just, it's not the easiest thing for me to conceive of unless I really look at it. And when I do that, then I can understand, okay, so with the places I need to go and the things I need to do and the stuff that's already on my calendar, I have, 30 minutes here that I can do whatever I want to put into it. And I've got an hour and a half here. And it really allows me to understand what is possible and not beat myself up at the end of the day because I wanted to get 6 hours worth of things done and I really only had an hour and a half. And I think that's important to be realistic about what you can do in a day. And when you're sick, you have to get really realistic about what you can do in a day that feels good and is helping you heal. So I have been varying levels of feeling yucky for the last few weeks now. Some days I really thought it was, I was done and feeling quite good, but the fatigue has really kind of stuck with me. And so I've modified a lot of my exercise or taken rest days or switched days when I would have normally done more intense cardio or weightlifting and instead took a walk and enjoyed being re-energized by nature. And I've slept a lot more. And the way I look at the bright side of that is that I've been trying to increase my sleep all year. I'm super proud that even before this, I was getting consistently, like it's rare now that I get less than 7 hours a night sleep, which is, I can't even tell you how huge that is for me because for the longest time, somewhere between 4.5 and 6.5 hours was pretty much my norm. And I functioned what felt like, seemed like, looked like from the outside pretty well on that. But I was noticing this year, earlier in the year, when I was still trying to go at that pace, that I was really needing to lay down in the afternoon. And it wasn't so much to meditate, but just to crash out for 20 minutes. And that did not feel like time that was helping my higher consciousness, but really just time that was keeping me put together and allowing me to move on with the day with some energy. So now when I meditate during the day or I lay down, it's really a choice because my energy is so much better. I've noticed my metabolism is getting more flexible. I've had different weight loss goals this year and they're happening I'm believing it and I'm seeing it, and things are really moving in the right direction. So even from a place of being sick and a little bit off, things are still happening. Even though I'm not doing as much, still, booking new clients, still helping my current clients, things are still moving in the right direction. And there's just all this evidence that this is okay and this is a fine part of the plan. And allowing this instead of trying to push back in this whole, well, I don't get sick and this isn't for me, and all that, just it feels so much better because traditionally I'm one that just doesn't like to be sick. Like I almost like would hide from the world. Like nobody needs to know I'm sick. I'm sick for 48 hours, I don't have to talk to anybody during that time. Nobody needs to know. And just be like, I've always been well. And the thing is, all is well, even when there's these little, you know, glitches in optimal health. All is well. And so yeah, time is something I'm looking at differently, because this has not been a month where I've been able to plug away. But I've gotten some really amazing projects done. I've gotten some really meaningful work done. And I've had some really awesome shifts in both my business and my personal life. And they feel even more rewarding and fulfilling because none of them happened under duress or stress or a hustle and grind kind of a mentality. And yeah, that's taken work, but it's such fulfilling work to see come to fruition, to be able to relax, to be able to just enjoy all the goodness that's already been created, and to be able to accept, and this was not something that I could accept when I was much younger, that it's never all going to be done. And that I can be blissfully, joyfully, happily incomplete. That so many of my projects, so many of my desires will never be completely finished, either because they're endless or they'll evolve to something else or some other desire is going to come along. But that's honestly, that's the fun of it. And that's a big part of law of attraction, is enjoying the journey and just enjoying where you are and anticipating where you're going, understanding fully that you've got to align with where you want to go vibrationally. We are a vibrational universe. We are vibrational beings. We have to align vibrationally in order to make it happen. So if we're saying that we want things to be one way, and maybe we're even affirming it, we're saying these things and doing mantras and affirmations and whatever, but behind it, we're thinking things about those affirmations, or even things about the thoughts that we're trying to have that tell us that we're not actually believing. Got to examine those thoughts. One of my favorite things to use EFT for, honestly, because, somebody can say, let's just use like a more tangible example. Somebody can say like, oh, I really want to lose weight and I, want to lose 10 pounds this month. And so I'm going to use these affirmations, I am, and they say whatever the weight is, if it was 10 pounds less than they are now, and I'm feeling so good at this weight, and it feels so good to be back in, the jeans that I had outgrown or whatever. They're saying all these things as their affirmations or their mantras or what have you, but they don't actually believe it. Then you have to work on that. You have to work on that inner voice, because you can't fake your way there very easily. So when you can work on what those thoughts are underneath of it, okay, well, I'm actually thinking that I really can't do it, that I'm never going to fit back into those jeans, and that I don't feel very good, and I might never feel very good, and I might never get to that weight. That's what I'm really thinking. And that's where I love to bring some EFT in and work on those things, so that the thought of believing what you actually want to happen becomes more realistic. It becomes more logical. You become less separate from it, and it becomes you. You just have to align. And once there's a match, then it happens. But we spend so much time talking ourselves out of what we want. So there's a lot of training of the mind and the vibration and the thoughts that really have to happen. Because sure, we all have plenty of reasons that we could believe otherwise, but none of those reasons actually get us where we want to go. And sure, maybe you've never been able to lose that 10 pounds. Maybe that is the story that you have right now. But if that's the story that you keep telling and you keep putting out there and you keep repeating, it's going to be your story. Like forevermore, if that's the one you keep telling. So it's tell a new story, believe that new story. Believe it is possible. Allow yourself to raise your vibration to where it is that you're trying to go so that it can happen. Otherwise, you're just holding on to what you don't want. And then you may have to question why it doesn't feel safe to let it go. So anyway, I'm over here nursing this double eye infection, gaining back my energy, and doing everything I can through all of that to nourish myself, to nurture myself, to be easy with myself, to release my self-judgment, self-criticism, and just show up and bring the best energy I've got in this given moment and know that this time is for something. I don't need to know what it's for. I don't need to know the why here. I'm just going to keep choosing something that feels a little bit better. And I know that I will be fully healthy again really soon. And I can feel it and I believe it. And it is here. I just need to align. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy the extra naps, the slower days, the lower expectations on myself. And maybe this is just my way of training myself into this as a new normal when I'm healthier. Wouldn't that be the ultimate? For me to regain my health and keep this slower pace, because I've already proven to myself that it's still productive, it's still profitable, good things are still happening, good things are still coming. And that when I'm healthy, that means I can enjoy more of the things I enjoy with high energy and optimal health and less of the work. And I can keep getting amazing results. That would be an amazing outcome from this experience. And I welcome it. So anyway, I know there's others out there. I know there's a lot of different sicknesses going around. I know that a lot of them are not short-lived right now. And I know that we can be really hard on ourselves. So my message today is be easy on yourself. Meet yourself where you are and help yourself get to the next place. And that all is well. I love you, and I thank you for listening. Be well.
Thanks so much for listening. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend or post on social media and tag me so I can personally connect and thank you. Until next time, keep taking bold and brave action steps towards becoming more of who you want to be in this world. You are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. Keep shining your light.